If you think your mortgage business is going to collapse because rates are going up, this will be the most important video you watch this year. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to have Anna Ruotolo with me today. She is just amazing. There's so many things she's accomplished. Just to tell you a little bit, she's been in the business since 1983. So when I look at, obviously, Anna started when she was 2 years old. When I look at how long I've been in the business since 2003, and that's almost 2 decades, to be able to have somebody like Anna and talk with her today, I'm so excited because she's got another 2 decades of experience that I can't even touch. So I'm quite humbled that she's taken the time to join me today. So she's held positions from operational to executive. She currently runs a branch in Danville, California. She's been in the President's Club the last 3 years, which is an amazing accomplishment. Forget the fact that she's been in the business and has all this experience. She's still crushing it every day, day in, day out, year in, year out. 3 years, last 3 years, President's Club. She's the mom of 2 amazing guys. She's a wife. She is a stage 3 breast cancer survivor, a workout warrior, and she has fun with gardening and her chickens. So welcome, Anna. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Definitely. So tell me a little bit about all the things I kind of mentioned, anything you'd like to expand on.
Wow. It's crazy to think that I've been in this business since '83. I used to joke with friends that if I'm still doing this when I'm 40, I must be crazy, but I'm crazy in love with the business is really what it came down to. Yeah. My career's just been fabulous. I mean, I can't think of a career that has served me better financially and in worth and in intrinsic value. I've had the pleasure of creating companies from scratch, growing regions, speaking on the national circuit, to starting a team at a local level and just growing with them. And it's all just so fun. And each phase is exciting and challenging and rewarding. It's a great industry to be in.
It is. I was thinking that yesterday. I was walking my dog in the middle of the afternoon. We had a beautiful sunshiny day yesterday. And I just thought, I'm so blessed. It's such an amazing industry. Mm-hmm. You know, if I had to take a phone call, I could have done that at the same time. But I didn't have to be, chained to my desk, chained to an office. And then just, obviously I don't do as much as before, but, running around and meeting with realtors and building relationships in person. I love that. I mean, now we can build virtually as well. So, it's nice that that's much more acceptable than it has been. Right. So I feel like it gives us even more flexibility than ever on so many different levels. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I feel so blessed. And then of course, it is whatever you make it. We have the opportunity to make so much money in this industry while serving our clients. And by clients, I always mean borrowers and realtors. So it's so amazing to me. So tell me a little bit about how many people are on your team, what's like your daily routine like in order to grow your business and help grow your LOs and keep them accountable and keep yourself accountable. You got a lot of plates you're juggling in the air.
Yes. So my team is 18, and how many are staff? About 6 are staff, and then the rest is loan officers. And really how I keep myself on track and sane and really making sure I'm serving my team as well as my production needs, right, is I follow daily disciplines. And so one of the things that I do is I have a specific goal I have to meet for that day. And rather than time blocking the entire days, which gets a little overwhelming for me, I follow a daily discipline. So if I accomplish that, I've accomplished my major goal for the day, right? So for example, Mondays are my update calls. So I'm going to update all of my loans that are in process, the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the borrowers. And I also have my team meeting that day going over the pipeline of everybody. So we're all updated on our pipeline. We know if we're having any issues, if I need to get involved, things like that. Tuesdays are my realtor calls. So that's when I'm going to be calling my real estate agents, checking in with them, seeing if they need anything. Wednesdays are my past client calls. So what I've done is I've broken my past clients into groups so that I can manage them. And then I just know which week I need to go to call up my past clients. We're not always looking for business when we're checking in with our past clients. Sometimes it's just saying hi, seeing how they're doing. Obviously, when this whole pandemic started, we were just making sure they're okay. So calling past clients is critical, and it's a huge source of business referrals and, redoing their loans. I then go back to realtor calls again on Thursday, and then Fridays I'm doing my recruiting calls. So those are my focuses. After I've accomplished my major focus for the day, I go into my lead follow-up, right? So that's when I'll be following up on leads, doing my pre-approvals, things like that, working with my loan officers on issues they may have. Every other week we have accountability meetings. So that's a structured, it's the first and third Thursday of every month, so that as a team of loan officers, we're meeting and making accountability and commitments to each other. And so I keep very structured like that. And that's what keeps me making sure I'm serving my team, my clients, my real estate agents, and myself. So.
Okay, fantastic. And on those, when you're trying to accomplish your major goal for each day, are you, when you're, following up with your realtors or you're updating your realtors, are those emails, phone calls, or both? And is any of it automated at all?
So my daily disciplines are not automated, though I do have an automated system running in the background. So we have automated emails going for major updates. So your loan is approved, your loan is submitted, your appraisals, and things like that. But I don't consider that the update call from me. So my Mondays are a combination of everything. It might be a call, it might be an email, it might be a text. It really just depends on the client, the day, the update, you know what I mean? So if it's a purchase that we're closing this week, I'm probably going to pick up the phone and just say, hey, docs are entitled, we're signing. If it's a refi that we're just in line for underwriting, it might just be a simple text. Hey, I'll let you know as soon as we get the approval. Let me know if you have questions. So it's a combination of everything, but I do have automated marketing and updates going on, but that's not my update call on Mondays.
Got it. Okay. And of those daily disciplines, which are easy for you, which are challenging, which do you love to do, which do you hate to do?
My update calls are the easiest because I find joy in that. Obviously, I'm helping a person achieve a major goal, whether it's a purchase or a refinance. And by doing my update calls, I've actually built realtor relationships, right? Because I'm getting stronger relationships with them. And I've picked up a few listing agents by doing these update calls because they see my follow through, my follow up, they appreciate it. So that sort of serves many purposes, and I enjoy that, right? Of course, if something's going sideways, you don't quite enjoy it, but it's always best to just step up and take care of it, right? Pull the Band-Aid off and go on. It's usually not as bad as you think. It's like we make our heads going, ah. So the harder ones to do, past clients are easy because you know them and you're just saying hi. I would say sometimes it's the realtor calls when I'm trying to target someone that I haven't been working with actively, right? I think that's probably harder. And we just have to accept it's part of our business if we want to grow, right? But that's probably my harder one. And part of it was because I didn't have a clear idea of who I wanted to call too. So I had confusion in my head as to where do I even start? Who do I want to call? So I'm solving that actually now, if you want me to go into that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So one of the things we think, and we all think, when I said I have to make my realtor calls, probably all of us thought I have to start cold calling, right? And you would be surprised how you don't have to cold call. And that's where I was getting stuck. So I'm literally in process right now where I downloaded all the real estate agents in my database and I broke them into buckets. Those that are referring me, those are my hot ones, right? Those that are referring me, I just have to cultivate them, keep them happy, stay in relationship with them. We have a strong relationship already, right? Those that know me and I know them, but I'm not getting referrals from them.
Mm-hmm.
And then those that I don't know, maybe they were, I don't know where I got their name in my database somehow, but I don't know them, right? So if I have this bucket of hot, I just have to, keep my relationship with them. Those are easy calls to make. You're checking in with them. Sometimes they even become your friends,
Mm-hmm.
But you have that big group right there in the middle of real estate agents that you know and that know you. And that's what is helping me make those calls now, because it doesn't have to be, hey, this is Anna. I'd love to sit down with coffee with you. It could be like, how are you doing? I haven't talked to you in so long. How's your business going? You could talk to them because you know them and they know you. And there's a lot of those in your database that you just haven't thought about. So
Absolutely. So when you're saying that, how do you ask, when you're asking about their business, does the conversation for you just flow into how come you're not sending me deals? Or like sometimes they don't have deals, right? I mean, a lot of times I feel like loan officers get stuck in this mindset that I'm not getting business from this realtor. Well, when we actually go and look at their real numbers, it's because they may not have a lot of buyer sides or little or none. And then a lot of times what I find is if the realtor's not having a lot of buyer sides, they really don't feel like they're in control of that buyer. So they don't feel comfortable suggesting a lender. They're just going to take whoever comes to them because they're so happy to close the deal. And I think sometimes LOs get sidetracked and, oh, they don't like me. They don't want to work with and I'm like, get your head out of that, because that's not, I think like 9 times out of 10, it's not really the case. What have you found?
Right. No, exactly. What I say to the loan officers, don't take a no personally. It's not personal against you. It's just either they have another relationship or they don't have business, right? There could be multiple reasons. So don't take it personally. Just call someone else and you'll find the people that you bond with and that will support you.
So and you never know when they're going to lose an LO, right?
Correct. No, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
That realtor may have a great relationship for years and they had a one-off with you because their buyer picked you.
Yeah. Or it may be that they just need a different personality for a person.
Yes.
So I mean, earlier in my career, at one point I was specifically targeting some big producers who I knew who their loan officer was, right? And great loan officers that they were working with. So you never want to go saying anything about a loan officer, so what I was doing is I started analyzing, well, what did they not do that I do? Or how am I different from them? So I was hitting from those angles. So I just started pecking, like, just saying like, hey, if you ever need a loan officer that can relate better to women, just think of me, maybe you have a client that wants to, maybe would feel more comfortable around a woman. So trying to find an angle like that sometimes helps if you know who they're working with. So on those calls, when I'm calling people that I know, I may not hit them up for why aren't you giving me leads right away? Because I don't want to put them in an uncomfortable position. What I might say is, okay, well, right now we're not necessarily getting together for coffee, but we can just chat, hey, I'd love to catch up with you. I'm going to call you later on. What time can I call you to just chat? Because you don't want to assume just because you called, they can chat, right?
Right. Yes.
So, or I might just say, if I do really know them, I'll say, hey, can we get together? I think there's a lot of ways of getting together again right now, if you do it safely in this environment. I just might say to them, I know we haven't done business recently. If there's anything I can do to help you, I have some marketing I could help you with, or maybe a lead follow-up system. Let's talk about if there's ways I can help you. Please keep me in mind. I'm here to help you. So I might hit them from a variety of angles. It just depends on who it is and what I know they're about. So
it's so interesting to me you bring up lead follow-up system. There's a presentation that I do for realtors, and I forget what the stats are right now, but it's something like 97% of clients would go back and use the same realtor, but only like it's something like I don't know, between 8 and 12%
Yeah,
actually follow up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's so simple. And then I don't know, it baffles me. On one hand, we have all these automated systems they can use, right? But they just don't put it in a database, which I don't understand why that's not automatically done with some kind of software they have. But I mean, I don't know what I don't know there. And then why wouldn't you just call your people on their birthdays? Or why wouldn't you call them on the 1-year anniversary of when they bought the house?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, I do those calls, and I just don't understand it. And then, so when you say to them, if I can help you, keep track of your leads, like, to me, it's not rocket science, but so many just need the help, right? I feel like, a lot of times, unfortunately, now actually there's classes on how to operate in the under, as a realtor doing business, right? But I forget, like, my background was already in business before I got in the loan industry. So, I mean, I know how to follow up. I know how to call people. If I'm not doing it, then it's me and my system, and shame on me. But a lot of these people just aren't taught.
Right.
So
you had process training already.
Yes.
They didn't, and if you're talking about being a loan officer in the business versus being an executive in the business, let's say, loan officers have to learn process flow. And it's huge, right? So I have process flow. I have process flow by my daily disciplines, right? But then I also have process flow by my lead follow-up system. Every one of my leads that I obtain from a real estate agent is entered into my CRM with a follow-up date and notes. So I know the last time I spoke to that lead, I know, what we discussed, I know when I have to follow up with them. So there's no holes in, I have that system set up. So that's another process flow I had to set up, right? Another process flow is, your files. Okay, if you don't take a good file, you will have problems the whole file. So taking a complete, accurate, knowing the file, knowing the red flags, that's a process flow too. And then your process as the file is getting processed is a process flow. So it's a lot you have to learn, but once you set those up, and it takes time because you perfect them and you change them and you tweak them. But once you set those up, it actually frees you, because I take a great file. I know my red flags. My team knows that I know it. You know what I mean? They don't have concern of, oh my God, Anna's giving us another loan. We don't want her loan. We don't want her loan. You know what I mean? They know it's going to be a loan that's going to be real, that they can close. Of course, we all have issues on files, but it's not like we don't lose files because I didn't do my job properly. So that's, as a loan officer, setting up those. So taking each segment and creating your process flow is really what's going to have you be free and grow. So
it sounds so simple. So why doesn't everybody do it?
Well, yeah.
All right. So let's talk about that. You feel what LOs sometimes get in their own way because they don't have a system, don't follow a system. What are your suggestions? What would you tell? What do you tell your team?
So the number one thing you'll hear from all loan officers is, I just don't have the time. Okay, well, we all have the time. They're just not making the time. Plain and simple, just face the facts. So I don't have time for lead follow-up. Okay, it's because you haven't made time for lead follow-up, right? So my files, I'm having trouble with my files. Well, because you're not following up with your files. You're giving them no updates. You're not communicating, you're not setting it up straight. So loan officers, where are their biggest stumbling blocks? And I think as an industry, we've created some of this for them. There's a lot of training out there that as an originator, you go grab the client and put it in, and it's someone else's job to put the file together for you and structure the loan. And that is one way of thinking. And some people have had huge success with that. That's just not the way I can have success, because my way is that I set it up and I know it, and then I pass it on, and then it goes. And it's, and that's the way that it works for me. But I know people have different ways, but you have to choose and be dedicated to one and make sure it works, right? Not that you can't throw something into a system that's set up for the other system.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? You have to make sure your systems
Exactly.
match. So the way that you're operating has to match the system and process that you set up. So,
Right. You can't run those football plays on the soccer field and expect them to work.
correct.
Okay, good. Yeah, okay.
So if you know what you're supposed to do and do it, then it should work. But if you decide not to do it, then that's why you're going to have problems.
Well, and I think sometimes too that the loan officer may not fill in their team on how they want it to be run. Right. I mean, that's so important to set expectations, I think, with everybody involved. So, right, whether you have an LOA or an LP1 or 2 or whatever you call them, or you don't. And then, you know, the processor, you know, what's expected? You know, do you go over the CD with the client, or do I go over the CD with the client?
Absolutely.
I mean, these are where people can just step on each other's toes by accident or completely drop the ball because they think somebody else had it.
Well, and that's so true, because that's what I say. I said, you have to be clear on when the ball is handed over. Because if you're not clear on that, you guys will be stepping all over each other. Everyone's confused, and no one then is held accountable. No one's accountable at that point, because it's like, well, I thought you had the ball. I thought you had the ball, you know? So by having that process flow, whatever that process flow is, it frees you up, and there's clear accountability and clear delineation of who's responsible for what. So
yeah, and I think same thing with communication to the borrower, right? And when the realtors can expect calls, like if you set it up front that you're going to call those realtors every Monday,
right,
then they know they're going to. And then once you start doing it, oh, Anna really does what she says. Yeah, because there are some of us in the industry that don't do what they say. I'm not pointing any fingers, but you know, it makes the rest of us look bad.
Yeah.
And
then, that's part of my introduction. So when I get a real loan, right, guess what? I have an email going out to the borrower saying, like, here are the next steps, and here's the introduction to my team who will be supporting me. And then guess the real estate agents get an email saying, I'm excited to be working with you. Here's my team. Here's what you can expect from me every Monday. If you have an assistant, you need a transaction coordinator that needs to be updated, let us know their names. So I'm setting that up right up front, so everyone knows this is the process flow. So there's no doubt.
And then I think also too with clients, to, you know, most realtors, we would think at this point, unless they're brand new, they know what's going to happen during the flow. But for the client also, you know, whether they're a first time home buyer or goodness, there's so many new overlays since COVID.
Yes.
You know, I think I call it the pre-frame with the client. So yes, you gave me all these documents. That's just the beginning.
Right.
So I don't want you to get scared. I don't want you to be uncomfortable, but these are the next steps. So I'm telling you, so you can expect. And I think then, you know, and then you introduce your team, and then your processor reaches out to them, then I don't get those phone calls.
Right.
Right. I mean, I just think, you know, the more you can inform people up front at the beginning, so then it is off your plate and you have time to do those other tasks. And as I call them, income producing activities.
Exactly.
Then, you know, you're not scrambling later when the client's like, I gave you bank statements. Why do you want why is somebody calling me for bank statements?
Yeah. Or it's not structured up front. I didn't think I was going to be cash or close, you know, and whereas up front, you could have said it, you're going to bring in property taxes and insurance only, and the rest, you know, or whatever, you're going to bring in zero money. You know, you have that conversation up front. So then your team's not all of a sudden stuck going like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And well,
tell us.
Yeah. And I was just talking about this with the coaching client, that don't assume that the clients are reading their disclosures, that they're e-signing.
Yeah. E-signing is like one of those blessings and, you know, not blessings, because I get concerned sometimes that people aren't, you know, reading them. And so you do have to just take a minute and, you know, so. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too, because I did an interview with, for my new book, Journey to Success, and for lab coat agents. And the woman that interviewed me for lab coats agents is a realtor, single largest KW. Yeah. Catherine Ray, amazing. But her number one complaint is that we don't go over the fees with the clients. And I totally agree with her. So, I understood, and I'm always looking for feedback on how I can improve also. But I just thought, how many loan officers is you e-signed, right? Like,
Right.
why would you sign a document that you don't know? But we all know that they want, as much as we want to move the file forward, so does the client.
Right.
Oh, you got to sign this today. Okay. Click.
Yeah. And we're saying like, hurry, we got to go.
Yeah.
We have a
So
clock ticking.
it's just funny. I mean, I always, kind of don't, we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And, making assumptions about clients is always, it's never good.
Yep.
It's never
and it's
good.
interesting, if you put yourself through, if you've refinanced lately or purchased lately, getting that feeling back as being a borrower, and we're a very educated borrower on the process, but getting that feeling back and being able to analyze, oh, where did I feel discomfort, or where did I feel?
Oh, yeah.
And I actually had put an email out to my team saying, hey, the black hole really doesn't feel good. It's like, and the black hole can be defined as many things to clients, right? As an experienced originator in the business for as long as I am, my black hole's pretty big, right? Because I know everything that's going on. But think about from a first-time home buyer's perspective, a black hole for them may be 2 days. You know what I mean? It's like what's going on? What's going on? The anxiety around that black hole is really real for them. And we have to remember that, because sometimes we just forget because we're doing it day in and day out.
Yeah, I think from what I've read, that the 3 largest stressors in anyone's life is getting married, starting a new job, and moving and buying a house. All right. So we're always one of the top 3 stressors. And I think so many times as loan officers, we just forget that because we do it on, on the other side all the time. So I appreciate your, bringing to light, when was the last time I did that, or you did that, or any of the LOs who watch this do it, because I mean, it's a solid point. And why we, in our head, underwriting turn times are 48 hours. If we don't say that to the client, like part of our sequence when my processor submits is she'll say your loan's been submitted to underwriting.
Yes.
I will follow up with you on this date, and she builds 1 day past the turn time. So she has time to review the file, and they know.
Perfect.
Exactly. So it's interesting because you mentioned the 2-day black hole, and
right.
Just because we know the turn times doesn't mean the client understands anything,
Correct.
And on the flip side, as a loan officer, when you don't tell that to the client, and in your head when you're going to follow up, but they're like, what's happening with the loan? And you're like, no, I just told you it went to underwriting, like
you don't even know what underwriting is. And
right? But, in your head, you're like, I just told you went to underwriting. But the reality is the client has no idea what that means, or how long that takes, or what's going to happen afterwards. Right.
Yeah. So just yesterday, a girlfriend who's a real estate agent calls me and she's like, I need you to take over this loan. And I'm like, why? What's going on? Well, the loan officer just went dark on me. She went dark, and I'm like going, okay, hold on. Like, what did she go dark on? It really was just a weekend. But the stresses were so high on this purchase. And I said, okay, I'm going to coach you to call the loan officer, find out what's going on. If you need my help, absolutely, I'm here to help you, and I'll take over the loan and everything. And the loan officer's like going, why are you so stressed out? And she's like, because you went dark. She goes, everything's okay. I have everything under control, But it was that point in the loan where contingencies had to be removed. It's a condo. And here's someone that's experienced in business still stressing out. And she's like thinking, oh my God, my file's blowing up. And it really was nothing, So we have to understand that it is high stress, and we have to be over communicate versus under communicate. Never over promise, because that'll just bite you.
Never.
And understanding that there is high emotions. And so we have to just stay really focused on keeping them calm through the process, updated through the process, so that they go on this journey in a fantastic way with us.
Journey's a good word. Journey might be my word for 2021, I think. Because we all know the outcome is that we want is closing. But then do you take your realtor and your client on a great journey or a stressful, miserable? I mean, we have a lot to do with that.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, we can't control the inspections or we can't control what the appraiser does, but for the most part, we can definitely, educate them and keep them in the loop. So it's interesting. Wow. Well, so since you've been in the business since 1983, Anna, tell me, like, we have a new 1003, we have a new Erla now. Tell me, like, what are some of your biggest changes that you've seen and liked and disliked maybe since you started in the business?
I've had a lot of new 1003s, believe me. I was having dinner with some friends and I was laughing going, I still remember when the fax machine came in. So, I mean, that's how far we've come as an industry. And, the dot matrix credit report thing. So technology wise, it's amazing what we can do now, right? And the technology, I think, is even going to become even more amazing in our industry. So on the technology front, I've always loved technology. So if there's a new technology that's going to help our team, our business in any way, I'm all for it. So I was playing on Calyx Point when it was first being developed. I was playing on Scott Cooley's Contour when it was first being developed. I love technology. So in technology, that's been, of course, the biggest advancement in our industry. And yet we still use legal forms, which cracks me up. So
well, and let me ask you this though, because I remember when I got into business, we still close loans in 30 to 45 days.
Yeah.
And we have technology now. How is it that we don't close loans faster, or how did we even get it done before? Right? It's so funny to me. No.
Oh boy, yeah, I remember those paper files, and that was fun. The file cabinets. When we finally went, when you go paperless, and suddenly what do I do with all these file cabinets?
Bye-bye.
I know, it's crazy. So so technology has been amazing. The number of lenders in the business, as far as places where we can place loans, has obviously grown dramatically, right? That's been another huge advancement in our industry. And but it still comes down to basics, right? It comes down to meeting people, serving people, qualifying people, and bringing them to a successful journey to a close on a home purchase or refinance. And so it's amazing. It's just great. So now we try to make that journey easier through technology. Sometimes that is, and sometimes that isn't, right? Right now we have 5 generations buying homes. Mm-hmm. And so when you're dealing with, our eldest generation, it's hard on them. I mean, it's super hard on them trying to force them to do an e-sign, and they don't even know what that means, so we have to be cognizant of that. And then you have our youngest ones who are just like,
uploaded it. You can't take this snapshot, screenshot.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, what do you feel has contributed to your success? Like 2 or 3 things. You've had a phenomenal career. We talked about it briefly at the beginning, and maybe like some of your highlights and favorite things about it.
Oh, goodness.
Well, you love to help people, obviously. So
thank you. I do love helping people. I've had some amazing companies that I've been associated with in my past. And it's an amazing feeling when you're with a team and grow something and experience that growth and that unified spirit. And it's really amazing. After our last meltdown, I felt sort of lost in the industry, to tell you the truth, because a lot of companies became only production focused. It was a really weird time in our industry. I can't quite put it into words, but it felt just sort of misplaced in a way. I just sort of felt like, oh, and it's because everyone went through such hard times, right? That they all of a sudden, it just became very focused on numbers. And that's when I really said, I need to come back and sort of be with the people and help bring back some of that feeling of team and growth and unity. And I'm in a great space with a great company that allows me to do that right now, right? So that's what I love doing the best is just really creating. And so I'm not only creating a team, but I'm creating my production also. So you ask what are my successes? I would say great companies with great people. I've been very fortunate in some of the opportunities I've been given in my past, and I'm grateful to those companies that have given me that opportunity. As a loan officer, because I want to make sure I'm speaking to the loan officers, to giving them the proper guidance, my successes have been the process flow and really categorizing those and creating process flow around those. My lead follow-up is by far the biggest thing that has led to my success, because I can pull up any lead at any time and I'm not going to let them drop through the thing. My daily disciplines. So as an originator, I would say that's what's led to my success, is making sure that I have that handled and I'm doing that. So, but it's been great. It is great.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about accountability briefly.
Okay.
How do you make proper commitments and how do you honor those commitments?
Yes. I was very fortunate for about, I think it was about 7 years of my career. I was under the tutelage of someone that was very big on accountability. And I mean, very strict accountability. So I was taught very early on about accountability and the proper way of doing accountability. So when you get into that sort of environment, you don't lose it, right? Once you're used to being held accountable, it's probably the biggest gift you can give anyone is holding someone accountable. Not everybody's open to being held accountable though. And it has to be a journey. It can't just be a one-time and done. So really what we do as a team, and accountability for me is it's open for them. If they don't want to participate, I'm not going to force them to participate because that would just defeat the purpose. So what we do is we set our commitments. The commitments have to be, so for example, it might be, I'm going to call 10 real estate agents this week. That's a commitment, okay? I'm going to call some agents this week is not a commitment.
Understood.
So,
good point. Great examples. Thank you.
So something like that. So we ask for commitments. It doesn't always have to be business, because oftentimes there might be things in personal, and personal and business really do carry over to each other. So I've seen fantastic, like, so on my team, I can think of someone who's wanted to get back into their fitness journey, and they did it one step at a time, and they're down 20 pounds. And it's like, he feels great. He looks great. And guess what? His production's up because I think he feels great and looks great. And, he has that confidence again, right? So
important.
Yeah. So things like, commitments would be calling real estate agents, holding a first-time home buyer webinar. The thing you always have to be careful of is to make sure it's not your to-do list. And that's the first thing that people will come with you at. Oh, is I have to. And I'm like, no. This isn't about have to's. It's not about a to-do list. It's about commitments. So I'm going to call 10 real estate agents. I'm going to call 20 past clients. I'm going to jog for 30 minutes, whatever it might be. But you have to make sure that they get specific on it, because you want to celebrate when they achieve their commitments. And ultimately, you want those commitments to become habits, right? So the fact that doing your daily updates on Mondays, it becomes a habit, right? Because you've committed to it so often that now you're just used to doing it. And that's how you really get true success, is when you're making those commitments that drive you to the next level, or that keep you in the green, or in the, when you make them a habit. So there's never judgment in accountability. It's just recognizing and then seeing what's getting in their way. So it's just really being there for them to have a safe place of saying, this is what I want to commit to. Sometimes they need to process what they need to commit to, or what they want to commit to, because they're not even quite clear. And then just saying, how'd it go? What'd you do? How did that feel? Because it does feel great if you finish it, or you might, if you didn't finish, they might be really bummed, and you just have to get them out of the bummed. Let's not be bummed. Let's just face the fact that we didn't keep it. Do you want to recommit? And then let's recommit and go forward. So
I love the no judgment zone. That's great.
yeah, it's really important.
So you brought up you made me think of two other things. So
Okay.
when you talked about celebrating,
Yes.
do you have a specific way you do it? And then do you let your loan officers, I would assume, that you let them pick their own celebration, but how do you remind them to celebrate, or how does that work?
So yeah, that's great. That's a great question. So I recently had a meeting with my team, and we do concessions, and I was saying, hey, if we could just lower our concessions by this much, it would mean this much in yada yada. If we accomplish that, what would you as a team want to do? And it was funny. They were all over the board, of course, but just having that excitement around trying to plan something like that. But we do a variety of things. It's been harder since we're locked up. We're a team that really likes to. I like to cook. I have some really amazing cooks on my team too. So we used to always do the potlucks and the happy hours and things like that. So we can't do that quite as well, but we did do a fun mystery party recently, and I sent wine to everybody and popcorn and, just trying to make fun like that. But how does each person celebrate? That's really up to them, how they like to celebrate. Yes. For my President's Club, like for making President's Club this year, I bought myself some diamond earrings. So
beautiful. Congratulations.
That was my celebration to myself. So
yay.
That was obviously a big one though, right? But
yes.
It could be something little, just like, go get a massage. We were doing trophies for a while. We're not like real big trophies because I wanted it to be more fun. So I was doing different plaques or trophies, or like for Halloween, we had a costume contest and I got like a scarecrow trophy. You just try to have fun and, acknowledge them and, recognize them individually and as a team. So.
Well said. Thank you. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was confidence. So when we talked about, you're a loan officer who achieved that fitness goal and then, production went up. I talk a lot about, when people do call their realtors, cold call, warm call, whichever, you have to be in a certain state of mind. You can't call and beg for the business.
Right.
You don't want to be like, hey, you should do business with me either, but
don't you know who I am?
Right, exactly. But like, what's that fine line? And, and it's amazing because it's everything from, the projection in your voice to the way you sit or stand while you're talking on the phone. I mean, it's just, there's so much, but tell me please how you either, focus on that, or does it just come naturally to you after so long, or how do you teach that to your LOs?
Yeah, and that's interesting because we were just talking about confidence, and I have a small training. I wish I had the book in front of me. I would have brought it out, but confidence is one of those things that you only get by continuing to do.
Practice.
So yeah, because it becomes so until you go into action, you can't be confident. So, and basically at the beginning, you have to fake it. And then by faking it, you get it. And then you get more of it. And then you get more of it. But there's always a time when you're still questioning yourself a little bit. So that's where I continually will invest in myself personally to learn, because I want to make sure. I have been in the business since '83, but I don't know everything, and nor will I ever say I know everything. That would just be silly for me to say that, right? So I want to make sure I'm learning things. Social media, I mean, like, I didn't grow up with that, so I have to learn, how do you post on it? How do you engage people on that? So staying relevant, I think, helps you stay confident. Staying educated in your industry helps you stay confident. And then staying in practice helps you stay confident. So it's really with that combination of things that you stay confident. And then there's simple things like, I don't think the rate is 3.25 today. The rate is 3.25 today. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't think you're going to qualify. Yes, you qualify for this based on the information that I have in the file at this moment. So there's some simple language skills that you learn also that portray confidence. So
Well said.
just by doing it and doing it and doing it.
Great. Thank you so much for those tips.
You're
Wow.
welcome.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? I want to thank you. It's been just a wealth of knowledge, Anna. So.
No, I mean, thank you for this time. I appreciate it. What I would just tell people is if you're committed to the industry, it will pay you back in spades. Be true with people, be honest with people, and just go enjoy it and know how wonderful it is. So
it is fun. I mean, to me, it's like, what else would you, I don't know, if you love numbers and people, what else on earth would we do that would afford us the lifestyle, free time, luxury,
and what
money?
joy when you put a person in their first home.
I know, and you get those pictures, and then I have first time home buyers that I helped them buy their first home, and I was at the closing, and then it was a couple of years ago, and I check in with them, and then this summer it looked like it made sense to refi, so we tightened up those numbers, and it did make sense, so they moved forward. And since it was COVID, the title company didn't want extra people at closing, but they sent me pictures and a video, and their little one is grown up. I mean, those are memories and joys. I think that I don't know that, other people have that.
Exactly. So, what a rewarding job, right? Career that we get to help people achieve this huge, huge goal in their life and dream, and then see everything that it does for them and creates for them and their families. So
fantastic.
That in mind keeps you focused and driven, and so
confident. We help people buy houses and achieve their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I mean, what I tell loan officers is you don't have to do it alone. You can hire a coach to help you determine those process flows. I went and hired a social media company I spent 7 hours creating videos. They post for me. You know what I mean? I don't have to take the time to learn how to do videos and make my posts look fancy and everything. So there's support systems there for you if you want it, if you want to grow in your career, if you want to go to the next level. So you can hire a coach, you can hire a social media person. Investing in yourself and taking that time really is what gets you to the next level if you're committed to it.
Well, and I always say, why would you struggle and, feel your way around in the dark as a new loan officer or a mid-level that wants to go to the next level when there are other people in the industry that have already achieved and have all the information and are happy to coach?
Absolutely.
So, and again, if you hire a coach or not, just look around. If you choose not to, I agree with you, invest the money, because if you invest the money, you will do it. You Absolutely. Are committed.
Yeah.
But if you don't, or you're not at that level, why wouldn't you do somebody in your office? Can I shadow you? So
when I went into retail, my first day of retail, I sat there and I said, I don't know how to be a retail loan officer. No one really taught you how to be a retail loan officer.
Right.
So I drove to the #1 originator in our company. I drove to his office and I sat right behind him the entire day.
Awesome. I love that.
Everything that he did. And it stuck, because guess what he did back then? So we're talking in 88, I think. By the time 88 is when I went into retail for the first time. And he had a little 1 through 31 and January through December index card box. Mm-hmm. So when he got a lead, he'd write it on the card, he'd put it in the thing, and that was his follow-up system back then, because we didn't have the technology, right? But that has carried, of course, it's evolved dramatically, but I literally had those cards for ages. And then I went from cards to Excel sheets, and then I went from Excel sheets to now a CRM, right? But that one thing has been amazing. So I learned that just by observing the #1 loan officer. It's like there's so much help out there if an originator wants it, if they're committed to the industry and want to grow.
I love the way you say if you're committed to the industry.
Yeah, don't come and try, do.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Anna.
I appreciate it.
Your knowledge and your attitude and the way you handle people is definitely they all contribute to obviously why you're a leader in the industry. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Hi, I'm Alicia Stobie, your Mortgage Millions mentor. And if you feel like you're ready to invest in yourself and you're committed to the loan industry and being the best loan officer that you can be, and you want to increase your pipeline steadily month after month after month, then click on the button below for an opportunity to apply to work directly with me. I'm looking for a few loan officers and branch managers who are ready right now to take action and invest in yourself. Just click on the button below.